going to move on to Anisha. Are you ready to go? Anisha is from the National Association of Farmer Producer Organizations in India. I'll let you introduce yourself, the rest of it. But yeah, a very interesting case study between yourselves and Lakshmi, who was with Grameen, who presented yesterday. So Anisha, I'm happy to let you present now.
Thank you so much, Mark. So good afternoon and good morning to everyone. I am Anisha. I'm the Senior Program Manager at NAFPO, and I am basically working with an organization that supports to develop ecosystem for FPOs in India. Today, I'm presenting from a comparative study conducted in partnership with Grameen Foundation, looking at business development services, how it can be designed genuinely gender responsive to the context of FPOs. NAFPO also has recently started working with women FPOs, and I'll come to the slide which talks more on the landscape of the FPOs in India, so that everybody gets an idea of the FPO space. FPO is farmer producer organizations, and I'm going to be using FPOs a lot, so just for clarity. So let me just quickly go to the next slide. Before I get into the data, I wanted to anchor us to the central argument for this case study. We looked at two types of FPOs. One was all women FPOs through a governance first BDS approach, and the mixed gender FPOs, which was supported through a market-led approach. The idea was that we wanted to sort of understand how different paths could lead to the same destination, and how different trajectories could actually lead to the same end result. So these are two different theories of change, and not two rankings in particular. And this slide captures the honest framing, which is that both models can reach the same destination. The sequencing of BDS may differ, uh, but ultimately the goal is that the FPO that is more mature, the FPO that has BDS support along with it through the journey, can lead to the same success rate as any other FPO. So I'm going to go to the next slide, keeping my presentation very short. This is to give a landscape overview of the FPO ecosystem in India. There are about 44,460 farmer producer organizations registered as companies. There are multiple other avenues also in which FPOs can be, in which farmers can collectivize, but we are only focusing on farmer producer organizations that are registered under Companies Act. Under this, 40% women, there are about 40% women FPOs, which are basically concluding to about 30 lakh farmers. Once again, leading to that, there are about this is information. So before I get into the details of this, I also want to add that in 2021, the government of India had sent out a central sector scheme which was focused on promoting 10,000 FPOs. Under that center sector scheme, 40% women FPOs have been promoted, which comes to around 1,200 plus women FPOs. Because this is a small fraction of the total, this raises a central question, which is, can all women and mixed FPOs reach the same outcomes, which is what led to this case study in the first place? And can well-designed BDS match to FPO maturity leadership, close the gap regardless of where they start? So what we did was, this is what our study design was, in which basically it talks about the methodology, which was a mixed method study, quantitative performance data on membership, revenue, governance, paired with qualitative key respondent interviews with FPO leaders, CEOs, and BDS providers. Our sample covered around 30 FPOs with 27,000 plus farmers and two programs. There were 10 all women FPOs, and there were about 19 mixed FPO that we got from Grameen Foundation. The two groups are different in terms of maturity stages also, because up to 3 years, the all women FPOs that we had, which is 10 FPOs, were all under 3 years of promotion. Whereas uh, the mixed FPOs reached a range of even 10 years of promotion. So there was that age gap that I want to highlight for this case study, for the purpose of this case study. The BDS cost also differs, because the BDS cost for all women FPOs here we have put as 18 lakh rupees, which is the central sector scheme, which is a government supported uh, um, uh, funding that is given to the FPO. Whereas in terms of mixed FPOs, the 25 lakh covers the BDS support that was provided to them. So we've already given that assumption that this 18 lakh rupees is information that is unavailable with us. Because these are two different BDS providers with different theories of change, we are not doing like a comparison as it is, because we are looking at two different approaches and what are they able to produce and what can we learn from them. That was the idea behind the case study. Now, this particular slide captures the two BDS models side by side. Uh, the governance, which is the all women FPOs and the mixed FPOs. Uh, in all women FPOs, the governance first approach was taken. And it begins at the early stage of the FPO life cycle, building governance systems, statutory compliances, financial literacy, leadership, building, and it builds on SHG networks majorly. And the SHG networks already come with a history and with a lineage. So that definitely helps in doing a governance first support to these all women FPOs. Whereas in mixed FPOs, it was a market-led approach, which assumes that the baseline of organizational capacity is already in place and layers on market integration, buyer linkages, value chain access, and gender inclusion policies can be integrated. So it's not like that neither of the approach is superior in the abstract, but the choice depends on where an FPO starts and what outcomes does the program prioritize, basically the BDS provider. Because based on their impact indicators, a lot of the BDS support depends, and the quality of FPO also depends accordingly. Then let me come quickly to the findings of the case study, which is the most important aspect of the presentation. Finding number one is membership aggregation. So looking at FPOs up to 3 years old, all women FPOs averaged around 1024 members compared to 655 for mixed FPOs. This is current membership that we are talking about, age up to 3 years. All women FPOs. So basically, here the logic behind recruitment or the logic behind increasing membership is different. It's not a quality gap. It's just different. The all women FPOs built on India's SHG infrastructure, like I mentioned, 90 lakh self-help groups with around 10 crore women members. They have a pre-existing trust and financial literacy, collective decision making. All of it translates directly into faster farmer member formation. In mixed FPOs, aggregation was through commercial value proposition. So farmers join because they see tangible benefit. There's market access, there's buyer linkages, there's value chain inclusion. The self-selecting nature of this approach produces a more diverse and initially smaller membership base, but both reach good. I'll come to the next slide, which talks about revenue growth. But both these approaches are valid and are contextual. So the other finding was around revenue growth. This is where the numbers are more striking, which is basically at year two, mixed FPO averaged at 139.6 lakh in revenue, compared to 67 lakh for all women FPOs, which is actually double of all women FPOs. this is a strength in a way for market-led approach because there are easier, smoother market linkages, buyer linkages, value chain integration, leading to faster commercial scale. But there's an important nuance also, which is like within the 3-year cohort, 37 of mixed FPOs experienced a revenue decline in at least 1 year. So, whereas in case of all women FPOs, that did not happen. But this is based on the age of the FPOs and the maturity of the FPOs also, and well leading to a growth plateau, which will be the next part of my slide. So this one talks about governance and decision making. In all women FPOs, 100% held board meetings, 100% all women FPOs held board meetings as mandated. Board of directors joined. More than 75% of the meetings were happening. 100% of decisions were made were consensus. With consensus. In mixed FPOs, there is a variability, and it leaned a little bit more towards CEO-led decision making, but that happens because it, I mean, it also depends on the maturity of the FPO also. It is important to sort of understand that the CEO-led decision making is not inherently bad. So for especially in terms of fast commercial moves, I think it is an asset. So in terms of program priorities, market-led inclusion and participatory governance from day one, the all-women FPO model was offered a more clear and proven pathway. The two models have different governance signatures, designs, and the project or the program that we need to choose needs to be aligned with the theory of change. So basically, it depends on the theory of change or the impact indicator or the BDS support, BDS providers intent also. Uh, that is what we sort of understood from our research. Now, this one is sort of interesting because it talks about the long run. Uh, I mean, if we look at the two revenue curves for mixed FPOs at this age, in up to 3-year cohort, 139.6 lakh, and in 4 to 6 year, you can see there was a 133 lakh, which is a decline, which is it's largely sustained. 7 years and above, there's a sharp drop. Uh, it's basically a 56% decline. Now, this also is a classic growth plateau saturation, which is perhaps in case a BDS provider exits or there's a need for a new S curve, and the data suggests that the current BDS exit timing may be sort of not aligned with the FPO maturity. So on cost effectiveness, the market-led approach delivers 195% ROI on the 25 lakh per FPO over the 18-24 months. But the 25 lakh per FPO is also hard to scale. However, this is not directly comparable with the all women FPOs because the data that we have, which is the 18 lakh in terms of amount that is being provided for all women FPOs, is not accurate or it's unavailable. So we can't really talk about the ROI on the all women FPOs. So women-led FPOs do have survival, and according to a recent report by Tata Cornell Institute and Bird India, women-led FPOs show 4 to 13% higher survival rates past government support periods versus male-led FPOs. So this is also an important aspect to sort of cover because this talks about that the sustainability of the FPO is not, for example, in case of all women FPOs, it is not entirely dependent on the market growth or the business growth of the FPO, because clearly it shows that even when there is a retraction of support, the FPO still survives, and with the right kind of BDS support, with the right kind of nudge to the FPO, business is something that can be achieved by the all women FPOs. And similarly, in case of mixed FPOs or male-led FPOs, um, uh, with the right kind of BDS support and integration or inclusion of gender dynamics, an understanding of genderization of the agriculture, they can also lead to a place where governance is sort of considered, and women are not just token members of the FPO. They are also providing input to the FPO, and they are confident about their input, and it is being listened by the board. So both the cases, even though different approaches can lead to the same result, is something that we have concluded through this. So these are majorly our learnings, and I will quickly talk about these because number one is that both aggregation models work, whereas in one case it is SHG rooted formation and value proposition recruitment, but both are valid, and programs can draw on either or combine them intentionally. Um, the other one is that each model has a distinct strength. The market-led BDS delivers higher revenue, and the governance-first BDS delivers steadier growth and stronger participatory governance. The right choice depends on the program goals, and it is not a universal ranking. The third is that there's a sustained engagement matters. And I think this is a case with both kind of FPOs, be it all women FPOs or mixed FPOs. There will be a saturation point, either it be in terms of governance first or be it in terms of market-led first. Both will reach a phase where intervention will be required, and it needs to happen for a long time, at least for 5 to 6 years, so that FPOs can handle their get a better understanding of their organization, because these are farmers and companies, there are so many compliances. Anyways, very difficult concept to understand. Fourth is that there are the structural barriers need structural solutions, which basically is that in India, women own just 12.8 to 14% land. The registration requirements for becoming part of a farmer producer organization requires a farmer certificate. And these certificates obviously exclude women or tenant farmers, because it's just uh, poor governance at government level. Um, so the BDS, no matter how well aligned, cannot fix these upstream barriers. So a policy action is also needed alongside these program designs. I think that is something that we are constantly working towards, which is also to sort of set a example that all women FPOs can survive, and there's a need to sort of encourage more and more all women FPOs in the country, because we sit at a very ripe and a very structured SHG model, and that can be collectivized in terms of informed farm producer organization. The next is for the breakout session. I'll
Yeah,
stop here.
yeah, Nisha, just for the time and all that sort of thing. Yeah, people can see the questions on the screen there. If you're interested in joining that panel, and Lakshmi will be in that breakout group as well, then please do join them there. Thanks, Anisha. Really interesting. It's relevant to the African context as well as the Indian context. I mean, there's a lot of parallels there, and also there's that question of do you push for fast growth, which may not be sustained, or do you try and push for something that is going to be sustained over the long term? And particularly when you see some of the funders coming into our space now, who generally are pushing for faster growth, I think that's a big question to answer.